God bless you. We've reached the last and final sign. Now, briefly, let's remember what a sign is all about. John calls the miracles signs because the main focus is not the miracle itself. The focus is it's the miracle, the supernatural event. It's there to point us to look at, to place our focus, our attention on something greater. And John is very specific. He tells us that all of these things Christ did so that we may believe that he's the Christ. Now, in this last and final sign, we all know it. It's about Lazarus being raised from the dead. And it gets our attention how Jesus probably exclaimed in a loud voice, saying, "Lazarus, come forth." And analyzing this sign, one of the things that got my attention was that Jesus wept, that he cried. And looking at it, I had to ask myself, okay, was he emotionally moved by seeing his friend dead, that he cried? So, but the problem that I have with that is that if he was weeping, it was as though there was no hope. And if we read there at the beginning of chapter 11, there in the Gospel of John, we see that Jesus immediately tells us, no, that sickness is not for death. And that the consequences, the end result of that sickness will not be death. But on the contrary, the glory of God will be glorified in this. So Jesus says that. And then having a conversation with his disciples as he tells them that Lazarus had died, he's very specific in telling them, I'm actually glad. I'm actually glad that you guys are going to go through this experience. As Jesus is about to reach where the family, Martha and Mary, are at, he has this interaction with Lazarus' sister. And in this interaction, he's very specific, telling her, I'm the resurrection and I'm the life. If you believe, you will not die. So to see that, and even when he's in front of the grave, tells her, didn't I tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God? So how can we reconcile the fact that we see a strong and firm Jesus saying, I am the resurrection and the life? If you believe in me, you will not die, you will have eternal life. That sickness, the end result will not be death. And he knew that he was going to raise him from the dead. So why would he cry? And this is where, in analyzing the text there, that he was moved. But he wasn't moved in a way that, in the human way where we are emotionally persuaded to cry. No. He was upset. He was upset. It almost got him to the point of being angry, where he was almost furious at the fact. And then we have to question, okay, he was upset at what? Well, if we look at what Bethany and Lazarus comes from Eliezer, which means the man who is helped by God. And Bethany means Bayit Ania, which means the house of misery. So this place, the house of misery, the house of the sick, yes, there's a man, his friend, who is helped by God, that's his name. Now, he encounters the people, and he's telling them, I am the resurrection and the life. But still, he can see the pain and suffering in them as they're crying. So this takes me to this point. He's telling them a promise. He's telling them the truth and the response of the people. because they're blinded by the house of misery, or the same human nature, the sin, darkness in our lives, that we can't see truthfully, honestly, God's promise for our lives. So I have to sometimes stop and ask myself, do I sometimes come to Christ begging, crying, and where He's looking at me and saying, didn't I tell you? Haven't you read my promises? Don't you remember what I told you? And you're suffering for it? And where His attitude, His reaction to it, as I'm looking at the life circumstances, He's looking at me and saying, what's going on with you? Can't you believe me? And I just wonder, the way that I react to life, is it bringing tears to His eyes? The way that you respond to life, is it believing in His promises? What He told you? Or just you're being inundated by your nature, by human nature, and it's keeping you from believing and seeing what He's telling you? God bless you.